Before the break, we asked, how much is a pony worth in Cockney slang? And the answer is £25. Welcome back, we are live on 5. Wilfred and Jemma still here with me. Our next topic is this. Do dads need better statutory paternity pay? In the UK, it is currently capped at £187 a week for just 2 weeks. Employers can go above and beyond that, but the government doesn't reimburse them for anything more. Now, the campaign group, the Dad Shift, says because the pay is so low, it means that only richer families can afford it. They don't think that that's right, and they've got some MPs on board who are going to be reading out some dad jokes in the comment to highlight the issue. Should we hear some dad jokes?
Absolutely.
Okay. First dad joke. I used to hate facial hair, but then it grew on me.
Hey,
A skeleton walks into a pub and says, I'll have a pint of lager and a mop, please. We were supposed to get Daddy Mac, the father of our crew, to read these. He would have much better delivery than me. I gave my handyman a to-do list, but he only finished the items 1, 3 and 5. Turns out he only does odd jobs.
You see, I think these are quite good.
Yeah, went shopping with someone, threw a block of cheese at me. I said, that's not very mature.
Hey.
And last one, when I was a young boy, I wanted to be a Georgian, what is that? A monk, but I never got the chance. Tumbleweed. Anyway,
I didn't get that one.
But this is all to highlight
Yeah.
paternity leave, and which is apparently the biggest joke of it all. Did you see?
Yeah.
So we are asking whether we need to give better paternity for dads in the UK. What's your thoughts, Jemma?
Yeah, I think we're really, really lagging behind on this. And I know everybody always cites the Scandinavian countries where they just do it so well, but I am going to do that today. Because I think what this does, by sort of saying that you have this huge, a woman goes through the physical and huge emotional turmoil, and then after 2 weeks, if someone's lucky enough to be able to take that, their partner sort of disappears. It would be so much better for the start of that child's life and for the family unit to establish that bond better, to give the mother more support and perhaps avoid maternal burnout. And also this idea that, like, that sort of saying it's the mother's role to do the childcare for the foreseeable, which just isn't true these days in any regard. Actually, couples have to make a choice and have a look at their unique situation. And I just think, yeah, it's outdated. It's old-fashioned.
I mean, I think a third of births are caesareans, and caesareans are going to take more than 2 weeks to recover. You're told when you're leaving hospital not to lift anything heavier than your baby, and then they're like, well, you can't leave without a car seat.
I cried the day my husband went back to work. I remember it. It was like 2 weeks, I think.
The recovery period can be beyond 2 weeks. What are mothers supposed to do in that scenario?
I'm going to get outvoted on this because I think this whole paternity
business
is a nonsense. It's an absolute nonsense. It shouldn't be happening. And the idea that you want to increase this, it shouldn't be happening. You can't outsource parenthood to the state. If you decide that you are going to have a child between you, it is your responsibility. It ain't my responsibility. It ain't the other taxpayer's responsibility. And the easiest thing is this, is that you're allowed 3 or 4 weeks holiday a year. How many people would actually give up their holiday to take the paternity leave then? Do they want paternity leave plus their normal holiday? I just think the whole thing is a nonsense. So no way, you know.
Merry Christmas.
No way, you know.
But okay, I'm confused, Wilfred. So having a baby is your choice, and you have to make allowances for that and pay for that. Does that mean that after a woman gives birth, you're expecting her to get up and get back into her work?
No, you sort out your own arrangements. I don't care what you do, but I don't think you should be entitled to have...
Okay, this is a socioeconomic point as well. Like, the birth rate has dropped dramatically. That is hugely because of the economics in people's households, right? People literally can't afford to have a baby. The idea that you make less support for people to do that. We need workers. We've got like a pyramid population now in this country, and these people that are being born now will be working to support the pensions, basically.
Yeah, but you've just said we need work. We should be incentivizing people to go to work, not to give them time off from work.
You're saying it's up to parents to look after their child. And so that now you're saying, though, that dads and mothers who want the dad to be at home more to parent in those early stages, when it is so full on,
No,
that they can't?
I'm not saying that. I mean, I think dad should go back to work as quickly as possible. I don't actually think
And
that.
not support the mother?
Well, you know,
So who's supporting the
hold
mother?
on. You can support the mother basically when you come back from work. How did they used to do it sort of 50 years ago?
They had very different economics.
They had extended families, but you know,
Yeah.
People had children for years.
Yes.
The mothers coped. You know, fathers went out to work.
Actually,
Why are we any different?
They didn't necessarily. If you look at back in the sort of 50s and 60s, a lot of mothers were very depressed. And in other regards, it did work more easily because there wasn't pressure on two people to earn. You could absolutely afford a family on one income, have a car, go on holiday, put food in the fridge in the cupboard. That doesn't exist now. So there's that pressure on that mother to get over that birth and get back to work in the time that she's got. If you've got two people nurturing each other in those early stages, that is going to be better for everybody long term.
Let's go to the calls and see what you at home think. 0207 862 2222 is the number. Roy from Wolverhampton, what's your view on paternity leave? Have you ever taken paternity leave? Did you take paternity leave? Would you have liked more?
No, I'm 82 now, so I don't think that's going to come up. But back in the day, we had 6 children, me and my wife, most of them in the army. We travelled all around, and if I wanted time off when Brenda was in hospital, then I had to take my leave, you know.
Exactly right.
And I just think everything is going so, wanting the state to sort everything out. But, you know, it's rough weather. I work from home today. My child's upset. He's not going to school today. Well, Brenda had 6, and they all went to school every day.
I mean, Brenda sounds incredible, first of all. I'd just like to say that. Your wife sounds 6 children, absolutely tremendous. And
No. She was a normal mother. In them days, she was a normal mother.
Yes, but let me get to my point. You're saying that the government everyone wants to outsource things to the government, wants the government to look after them. Surely the army helped your wife look after those 6 kids, both from your salary, but also from the community that gave her, especially if you were living in barracks and that sort of thing. Also, back in the day, there was lots of people that lived beside their parents. They had extended family that could step in and help. One salary would cover the cost of a family. So you could have one parent, whether it was the mother or the father, getting straight back into work, and the other one could be free to look after the children. Unfortunately, that's not necessarily the state of things at the moment, Roy.
But why? Why has it gone to this stage?
But you could say the state, or you could frame it as society. Like, what kind of society do we want to live in? And yes, the state might have to enable that, but there is plenty of countries that do this really well, like where the father culturally is expected to take a year off. That's just the way it goes. And they thrive. They're very productive. Their state isn't falling apart. Their society is perfectly thriving and decent.
Look, you're a freelancer, okay?
Yeah.
You could take as much time as you like, but actually,
no, I
it's
can't,
somebody else paying. Well, exactly.
I don't have any pension. I don't have any sick pay.
So the point I'm making is this: if they could choose to have the time off if the state is not paying for it. That's the point. Is that if you're working as a freelancer, you know that actually
where only wealthy people can have children. Do you want that?
I don't think it's a question that only wealthy people can have children.
But that is what will happen.
They get £187.
One of the things that gentleman just said, Roy just said, that, you know, if he had to have time off, he would come out of his holiday. And I think that's a reasonable thing to do. I don't think you should have holiday.
Too?
No, I'm quite happy for women to basically have maternity leave. I don't want to change that. What I have a problem with is paternity. I just think it's going too far.
Roy, thank you very much for your call and sharing that. And again, kudos to your wife.
Yeah, because we're right.
Desmond from London.
God.
What's your view?
Good morning, Storm. My view is, and I've been through it and I've seen the effect it had. 2 weeks is not long enough.
Thank you, Desmond.
You've met my son, Storm. You've met my younger sons.
Have I?
Right.
Okay, that's fabulous.
I won't go into detail. That's a different issue.
Oh.
And when the mother gave birth, I was off for 2 weeks. And that 2 weeks is not long enough because my sister, thank goodness, she was much older than me. She had children. She said, Desi, she said, you need to keep close to the mother. She said, all of a sudden, that sudden partition of the child from the mother giving birth, she said, some mothers just suddenly cry. I said, why? She said, unexplained. When I went back for the 2 weeks, I saw the mother starting getting depressed. She was worrying, who's going to help me? Who's going to help me? You're always at work. You're doing this. You're a scientist. You're doing all these different jobs, working late hours. And I do not think 2 weeks is long enough, because mothers at home, some fathers say, oh, what have you been doing all day? When I've had to do, I'm a single parent too. When I've had to look after the children by myself, I think, good gosh, those mothers, they've just gone through 2 weeks. They've only had the dad there to help them for 2 weeks after giving birth. And then suddenly they're left by themselves. That can be itself quite traumatic. And I think, yes, there is enough money in the system to allow fathers to have a longer time to bond with, help the mother. The mother's just given birth, whichever way the birth was given. And then suddenly 2 weeks after that, you're saying, right, now you've got to do this by yourself. I don't think that's good. And I think that itself can increase mental depression and postnatal depression in women. I've seen it. I've worked with a lot of women who've actually explained this to me. I think Desmond, we do need longer.
Thank you very much for your call, and I think I remember you were an audience member and your sons were very little when I met them. Amara from Birmingham, what's your thoughts on this? Do you think we need extended paternity pay?
Oh, 100%. Like, I'm on maternity now. My son's 20 days old, and I had to have a cesarean. And my husband had to go back to work last week, and he was crying, like, even having to go back. But I mean, we're told all the time that our generation isn't having children. So we're not contributing that way. Our parents had to make it work, and then we do try and have children, and then we feel like we're always punished by the state for doing so. I mean, £187 a week is just criminal.
Amara, it's a bit. I don't want to be too personal with you, but how was your recovery from the cesarean? Were you fine after 2 weeks to lift your baby and that sort of thing?
Not even a little bit. So, like, I've been trying to do too much, and I've been getting told off by the NHS for trying to do too much. Because you have to, if you need to take your son outside, you need to, there's appointments that you need to go to. You're supposed to rest for 6 weeks. You're not supposed to lift anything heavier than your own child. But you have to, you've got to bath them, change them. Like, it has to be done. And unfortunately, parents still work now. My parents still work. His parents still work. That's the society we live in. We don't have a village anymore. Yeah, and our partner just has to go back.
I mean, my sympathy for you, and it gets even more complicated when you've got a toddler and other children running around, and you're still looking after this baby and you've had a cesarean or what. I can only imagine.
There's nothing
more complicated.
You're not seeing from the employer's perspective, okay? Now,
it's not my priority, no. When I'm having a baby.
But every employer, okay, and then somebody has a paternity leave, you've got to get somebody else to do that job.
But you have to do that for women. Would it not make it all equal? Would it not take away that gender inequality?
It's just the financial consequences that we need to think about, really.
All right. Think about the employer, Amara. Thank you very much for your call. We have to move on to this topic. After the break, we'll be asking if it is okay to ban solo drinkers from bars. That's what One Cocktail Bar and Karaoke Place in Greater Manchester is doing. They say that it is for the safety of the lone drinker themselves and for the sake of the other customers, potentially staff. What do you make of this? Do you go out for a drink on your own? How do you feel if you weren't allowed in? Do you think this is discriminatory? Or maybe seeing somebody on their own when you're out makes you feel a little bit uncomfortable? Let us know. 0207 862 2222 is